Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a vibrant, developing, and changing city. While one can say this for many other cities, Milwaukee is working with a unique set of intertwined racial and industrial legacies that are both the creator of problems and the driver to change. This Rust Belt city came to life during the 1960s in more ways than one. Milwaukee was both at the peak of its industrial production as well as a site of racial conflict. While race and segregation issues continue on today, after the 60s, Milwaukee began to deindustrialize, leaving vast employment, land use, and environmental problems in its path. Part 1 of this documentary gives you a snapshot into Milwaukee's development challenges from the perspective of a few community members. Before we begin, here are a few questions to keep in mind. What does change mean? Where do you think new development intervenes upon Milwaukee's greatest challenges and legacies? What do you think Milwaukee can do to move to a sustainable and just future?
It's a nice mix of, Midwestern feel and values. It's big enough, but not too big. I've heard some people, one comparison I liked is somebody said, Milwaukee is to Chicago what Boston is to New York City. And I thought that was kind of neat. Big metropolitan area with plenty of things to offer, but small enough to be manageable, and the traffic's not horrible. So good quality of life.
There are a lot of great institutions here. So we have a great art museum. We have a great public museum. We have a lot, we have two sports teams. So we have a baseball team and a basketball team. The basketball team is sort of spotty at times. But, there are a lot of things to do that are really reasonable and accessible. Mm-hmm. We're really close to Chicago, which is fantastic, and we're on a lake. So that's always nice to be close to a large body of water.
Yes, there's definitely very distinct neighborhoods and distinct socioeconomics within those neighborhoods and races and religions and things of that nature. But also, at the end of the day, we are Milwaukeeans. We live in this city. We want to live in a city that's safe and that's fun and that has opportunity. And I feel like Milwaukee has just a really, really great spectrum of culture, a great spectrum of creativity, and a great spectrum of people that are really seeking to do new things. And
from what I see, a lot of people separate Milwaukee by its waters. I know the Menominee pretty much divides the north side and the south side, mm-hmm. Which is a tragedy because oftentimes people on the north side have never been to the south side, yet they have misconceptions and stereotypes, and that river seems to be the dividing thing. Okay. Just in terms of what I think, I don't really want to sort of separate Milwaukee. I think that's the problem with Milwaukee is that we're tied to our boundaries, and we all just need to come together and figure it out.
It's crazy that, 50, 60 years later, we still have this huge problem in Milwaukee, and you can still see it everywhere. Right. We might not have signs on our doors saying, white people and black people here, but segregation is a huge problem in Milwaukee still, and it's really evident.
So I think Milwaukee is a place that is extremely scarred by division. So when we talk about segregation in the city, I think oftentimes we do so, and we sometimes feel like that makes our quota for being socially responsible.
They had cleaned the Milwaukee River, that is, say, in parts. Parts that do not give the opportunity for the black community to, enjoy it.
Neighborhoods such as Metcalf Park, which is one of the country's worst zip codes. I think it has the highest level of incarceration. Also neighborhoods such as Amani, neighborhoods on the south side towards sort of a historic Mitchell Street. Those are all areas where opportunities are really slim.
Milwaukee used to be known as the machine capital of the world. And we have some businesses in our neighborhood, one called Monarch Corporation, where they still make these heavy machining pieces, some that they ship all over the world.
And of course, many of those industries are gone. So those areas are still recovering from that, which was tremendous job growth and opportunity. But when all that stuff kind of moved out, we're still recovering from the access to all that great stuff.
City was built around industries that no longer exist here. Global economics was no one's fault. Maybe we were complicit in it, but we all exist in its reality. Deindustrialization, I mean, we live in the wake of these industrial corridors that Milwaukee developed around. These houses, these buildings, our built environment. And then in some ways, the abuse of our natural environment were built around these industries that no longer call this home.
We've seen different pieces of the community really revitalize since I've been here. What we would consider sort of the third ward was very industrialized. I had friends that lived in, basically a warehouse when we were in school, and that had turned into a loft. And since then now it's, condos and a lot of great restaurants, and it's changed. That piece of our community has changed considerably.
I've seen a reinvestment in the downtown area, and it can be maybe best described as the river was more seen as where the businesses had their back doors to the river, and they're facing away from the river and not really seen as a real natural asset. But that's been changing with downtown investment and the river walk and new housing and an incorporation of the river as a major attraction.
Years ago, it was a riverfront with like old dilapidated buildings and just open grassy areas and whatnot. And then the area that's just directly west of where we are now is now apartments right on the river.
Why is certain portions of the Milwaukee River allowed to be dysfunctional when others are made to be economically sound for the area that it runs through?
So even in quality of life and green space, as areas get built up and gentrification might set in and people get priced out of their homes and their living spaces, and now they again don't get to live in this area that maybe has a lot more beautiful green spaces and whatnot.
The river investments are a sign of real investment being made in like places that aren't over-resourced. So that it's not that it's not happening anywhere. It can just be frustrating when these cycles happen, and it's just like, oh, let's just heap more investment into the same 10 places where people don't need it.
So after just a few perspectives on the history and development in Milwaukee, one can't help but wonder, what does this change mean for the people living here? Where do you think this new development might intervene upon Milwaukee's greatest challenges and legacies? Given these tensions, what do you think Milwaukee can do to move to a sustainable and just future? What changes would you like to see? Let's hear your thoughts.